Hey everybody, Dan with Philosophical Fishing. How is everybody? I'm back from my vacation in Florida and I'm back here in North Carolina. I just got home a few days ago, so we're all back to school and my wife's back at work. And I am actually unemployed right now. I actually just got laid off right before the holiday, which is, I know it's great timing, right? The good part is it's going to give me more time to make these videos and do more content. And so thank you all you guys who have subscribed, and thank you guys for supporting the channel. There's so many of you on here. Donna, Bob, Jacqueline, you guys are all here just about every day commenting and supporting each other, and it's awesome to see. I love it. And that's a big reason that I started this channel, was so that we had a place to come and feel that we could uplift each other and support each other and encourage each other and have hopefully a safe space to share some stuff that's pretty sensitive and it's pretty hard to share, and it's, for a lot of us, it's really hard to talk about. So thank you so much, you guys, for supporting the channel. So if you're watching these videos and you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It does help the channel grow, and it will hopefully allow me in time to, I would like to make philosophical fishing at least a part-time or full-time thing where I can devote all my energy into doing more and more videos. And I would also like to eventually add a podcast and do a lot of interviews and talk to people across the Benzo community who have been doing some of the work that I've been doing over the last few years, because it's still all so new. You know, there's not been much attention or light shed on benzo withdrawal and benzo recovery and the damage that it does. I mean, we had, you know, that little documentary that came out on Netflix, and we've had other little documentaries over the years, but nothing really in the way of getting the message out there on what these drugs are really doing to people. So I would like to try to be at the forefront of that, and I would like to try to keep putting these videos out there and spreading awareness and helping people, so that hopefully in the years to come, there's more help for people like us who have come off of benzos or are tapering or are wondering how the hell to get off of benzos, because there just really isn't much out there. And so if you go ahead and subscribe and like and comment on these videos, it really helps me to try to do more and more of this work. So having said all that, I had a great suggestion in the comments last week pertaining to a video somebody would like to see me make on parenting in benzo withdrawal. And I thought that was a great suggestion. And I couldn't find your name, so if you see this video, if you're the one who suggested it, please leave me a comment below and let me know. I would like to give you credit for the title of this video and for the content of this video. I was trying to go back and I couldn't find your name. But a lot of us in benzo withdrawal do have kids, we have children, and even if you don't have kids, I think that this video will still be applicable to those of you who don't have children, because there's so much about parenting in benzo withdrawal that brings up so many challenges relating to having patience or feeling that you're being triggered by your kids, or anger, and all these issues that are really very emotional based, and dealing with them in benzo withdrawal is especially difficult. And so when I came off of benzos, I was in treatment coming off of benzos in August of 2015, and my daughter's birthday was September 10th, and I was just a couple weeks off of benzos. I was still crazy, I still couldn't talk. It was so hard. So she turned 4 years old when I was in treatment, and I made a promise that I would never ever miss another birthday, because I missed her birthday when I was in treatment, and it was a horrible feeling, and it was such a hard day for me. I hadn't talked to her in at least a month, and I remember calling her from the treatment center that I was at and wishing her a happy birthday. And it was just so hard for me to even put the words together to try to talk to her and wish her a happy birthday. It was heart-wrenching for me. It was so hard. I had just come out of psychosis, and I was still heavily damaged. And So it was hard. And then I got out of my treatment center the end of that month in September, and I went back home, and I was kind of doing this hybrid thing where I was living at my sister's house part-time, and then I would drive home to my house and live with my wife and my daughter for about 3 or 4 days before then going and driving back down to South Florida, where I was doing an outpatient program, and I was living with my sister to just try to get back on my feet and heal and, you know, do all the things that I was doing in my recovery community as well. And so it was really, really hard. I mean, I had a 4-year-old daughter who was just full of life and energy and enthusiasm, and I was so damaged, and I could barely talk, I could barely think, and, you know, it's like, how do you be a parent now that, you know, I've gone through this horrendous process? And yes, I was also going through a transformational spiritual awakening. So I had this new perspective and this new lease on life that I really, really wanted to be a dad to her so badly. And I wanted to make up for so much lost time of where I was miserable and I was damaged from benzos and I was on drugs and I was not the father that I wanted to be. And now I had this new opportunity to be that dad. But it was also such a struggle and such a challenge some days, because if you have young kids, you know that young kids like to test the waters, and they will push the boundaries, and that will also in turn trigger a lot of responses in you, and possibly, you know, trauma responses from your own childhood. And so I had all this stuff to deal with and all this psychological baggage at the same time that I was trying to work through. And the anger that would come up and the emotions that would come up in me sometimes. And there were so many instances where I just had to step away and breathe and calm myself before reacting and responding to my daughter, because she is just being a 4-year-old. That's what, you know, 4-year-olds are going to be 4-year-olds. Nothing that she was doing was any fault of her own. She was just being a kid. There were times when I reacted in a less than favorable way. It definitely wasn't the norm for me to lash out at her or to react in a way that I would rather not have. But there were definitely times when, although I was trying to do my best, my frustration, my anger, the benzo withdrawal definitely got the best of me. And I can cringe at some of the things that I did and some of the things that I said and the ways that I reacted from time to time when she was 4 and 5 years old. But generally speaking, I think that I was a much better parent when I came off of benzos, and especially the fact that my spirit was being reawakened and I was growing in so many ways and trying to get better and trying to be a better dad in so many ways. It was definitely much better that I got off of benzos and became a sober dad, but the challenges that came along with it were definitely hard. I've noticed that there was a lot of trauma from my own childhood, from my own upbringing, and from a lot of the abuse that I had gone through myself that I've had to work through, and that quite honestly I'm still working through. And it might be a lifelong process. I don't know if I'll ever be 100% healed from all the emotional trauma I went through as a child. But the biggest thing I've learned is that I don't want to pass that on to my kids. And now I also have another kid. I have a 3-year-old. I'm sure I've showed videos where I think I've put up pictures of him before. So parenting in benzo withdrawal, just generally, I had to learn how to cultivate a lot more patience, and a lot more patience for myself, for my situation, and for my kids. And I had to realize that although sometimes I didn't react in a way that I would like to, I had to also extend that same patience and grace to myself that I would want to extend to my kids, because I was also going through this transformational process. Energy-wise, you know how it is going through benzo withdrawal and benzo damage. Some days you just have absolutely no energy. You feel completely drained. Your nervous system is all dysregulated, your muscles aren't working correctly, and it's really, really hard to keep up with the energy levels of a toddler. I mean, some days it was almost impossible. And so days where I really felt like I can't play with her like she wanted me to. I mean, my daughter was very active and she wanted me to always throw her in the air and give her piggyback rides and go outside and play. And I love doing all that stuff, but some days I just could not do it. My body hurt so bad, or my back would be in such bad pain that I couldn't do those things. So I would find other things to do, like I would offer to take her to the movies, or sometimes she would love to go shopping and she would love to buy, you know, some stuff to bake at the store. Like she would love to shop for like cakes or muffins or something that we could go home and make together, you know, just something simple that you could throw in the oven. And those things wouldn't take a lot of physical energy. So those things, like I could still do with her, and I could sit there with her or make some food with her, and it all takes mental energy for sure, constantly. There's just no two ways around that with a young child. So if you have young children, it's some days are going to be really, really tough, but I think it's about finding the things that you can do on days that you feel like you can do it. So on days that you feel like you have a little bit more physical energy, or you can go outside and play with them, or go for walks. Or sometimes, I mean, kids can just, they don't care so much what you're doing when they're at a young age, 3, 4, 5 years old. They just want you around. They just want you. They want your attention. So a lot of times you can just get on the floor and play with them, and you know, they just want to, you know, show you their toys or what they're building or what they're doing, and you can just engage in some kind of activity with them that doesn't require a whole lot of physical or mental energy. And it's just about finding those little things. You know, if you have older kids, middle school, teenagers, I don't have experience with that yet. You know, my kids are still pretty young. I do have an 11-year-old daughter, but I find that, you know, middle school, high school kids can generally be, you know, more independent and kind of do their own things, obviously. So that's going to be probably a whole nother deal. I've also talked to people in Benzo Withdrawal who are caregivers for elderly people, maybe the parents or family members. And that's another unique set of challenges that come along with that territory, I'm sure. You know, I don't have experience with that, but I can imagine that just as dealing with a young child, you know, there's a lot of physical and mental demands that come with that as well. You know, it's hard enough taking care of ourselves. In benzo damage, you know, we're trying to heal and we're trying to get well, and that's a full-time job. So if you're dealing with kids or family members, or you're a caregiver in whatever capacity or in some regard, I've been there. I feel you. I know how hard it is. It is extremely difficult some days. And some days, listen, you're just going to fail at it. You're going to have days where you just don't do well. And you're going to go to bed that night and you're going to be kicking yourself and you're going to be saying, God, I wish I could have done so much better. And that's just going to be what it is. And you're going to have to accept that some days you're just going to fall on your face and you're not going to do as well as you would have liked to. And that's just the reality of it. Other days, give yourself credit that you're trying your best and you're trying to do the best job as a parent you can possibly do. And that's all. Any parent tries to do their best. I really believe that. Even if some parents do irreparable harm to their kids, I still think that they really tried to do their best. And that was the best that they knew, because people act on their level of consciousness wherever they're at in life. So I hope that this video was helpful in some way. Again, if you're the person who suggested this content for this video, go ahead and leave a comment below and I'll try to give you a shout out in the next video. So, you know, if you guys have any more ideas for videos that you'd like to see me make, I'm open to suggestions. And thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys who comment and just support and encourage others. It's so awesome to see. I love it. I try to get back to everybody in the comments as much as possible, and it feels good to be back and to be making videos again, and I hope to have a lot more videos coming in the next few weeks. I love you guys. I wish you all healing.